Hi everyone, Emma here. I have a leather wrap bracelet that I'm going to make. It's going to be a double wrap and it's going to be skull themed. These beautiful metallic copper colored skulls. So right now I have there's 5, 10, let's do 15. And I've gone through and I've checked the holes. Now there's holes. Let me open this up a bit. There's holes on the side of the skulls. Right here. But if you thread them that way, they tend to flip up and down. And it just so happens that this particular one has a second hole here. So I went through and I checked both holes on each side. I'm just gonna, with my bead reamer, not too hard because it might break this part of the jaw, but there you go, 2 holes, and that should secure it so that you can see the actual skull. Otherwise it'll flip like this, or sometimes it flips like that. So there you go. So that's 15 of those. We may not need all of those. I think what we have some 6x6 check glass tiles. This is a strand of 50. I'm doing a double wrap for a 8 inch wrist. Well, it's probably a 7.5 inch, and I've added a 1/2 inch. So these, if you measure these out side by side, a 50 strand measures about a little over 12 inches. So that would be 6 inches each, but that should work out when you add in the skulls. So we're going to try it that way, and we need a beautiful skull button. You can use any type of button, and you can, I've got a shank button, but you can use a flat button with 2 holes as well. That works just as well. And I have my barrel knot tube. I have some thread from Coats & Clark. You can get this at Walmart. It's upholstery thread and it's quite strong, so it holds everything really well on a leather wrap bracelet. You can use some other thread, but the wear and tear of the other thread might fray and then they'll break. And I have some beeswax to condition my thread, and that just basically untwists it so that it doesn't get all knotted up. And then I measured out 6 feet of leather cord. You definitely don't need that much. I like to use extra so that I never run out, and then when I cut it at the end, my pieces are long enough to create another bracelet. That's just a little trick I use. Yeah, so you can try that, or you can measure it exactly, and there's all kinds of techniques on measuring your leather before you cut it. You can just look it up on YouTube. Yeah, or you can just, add a 1/2 inch to your wrist size that you're doing, and then how many wraps, and then double it because you need 2 strands on each side. And I just have some basic wax thread. You can use any type of thread. This is just going to be to attach it to your beadboard. And again, you don't have to attach it to a beadboard. It just makes it a lot easier to work with. You can attach it to a clipboard, whatever works for you. I'm going to put that aside. We don't really need that. And then I'm using a collapsible needle. Normally I use a needle that you thread through a single eye at the end. I'm going to try it this time, see if this works. So we'll see if it gets through everything. So let's get started. We're going to move these things aside. We're going to put our button on first. So just move those guys aside. And we need our button, our barrel knot, and we're gonna get our midpoint of our leather. hang on to that midpoint and thread your, now if your leather does not go on your button, there's a few tricks to get it to go on. This should go on pretty easily, yeah. That's pretty easy. So you can twist it and it goes in pretty easy. Otherwise, you can clip it on an angle and it'll slide in better. And if it is super tight, which it's possible, this is 2mm leather cord. If it's tight, you can remount your buttonhole with your reamer, and they work pretty easily on that. Now, when you're pulling this through, this one's a little snug. Just be careful not to drag it through too hard, because it will scuff up your leather. And you know, leather is not going to be even all the way through, so you're going to get some thick spots. And there's our midpoint. So now you're going to fold it over, and you're going to grab your tube and set your tube down like this and hold all three together. And you're going to take the top one and you're going to roll it around 3 to 4 times, depending on what your preference is. I like about 3.5. So there's 3. Let's go one more time. Now you're going to switch fingers. So you're going to grab that bottom piece, hold it, and you're going to slide this through your barrel knot. And it's going to come out the other end. So just make sure you pinch it with the other hand. I think that's the key to doing this so that it's not frustrating, is switching fingers each time. So now that I've got that in there, I can switch fingers and pull this through. And you pull it all the way through. Let me just bring my finger under there. Pull that all the way through, and you can bring your barrel knot down as well. Pull it through, and you can pull the barrel knot off of the leather. So now that's what you have. Now you want to cinch it up to your button as you're tightening it. And I'm just going to pull that through and tighten just like that. Now I like to leave mine so that it's not cinched up right up to the shank. I like it a bit down so that it lays flat. So let's just tighten that nice and tight. There, like that. And that's it. Simple. Okay, so now this is where you're going to attach this button to your bead board. So what I've done is I've got a piece of thread that I've looped and tied a knot on the bottom, and we are going to, I might slide it through here so you can see where your hole is. You can pinch that and slide it through that hole. Just like that. And then you're going to loop it around your button. There. So now it's attached and it's not going to come off until you untie it. So let's get our bead board. This is the awkward part for doing this on camera because it's hard to see everything. So I've got my bead board. Let me reduce this as best I can. I might just bring the camera out a bit so that you can see a little bit more what I'm doing. Okay, so you've got your, Now you're going to want to bring this down to close to where you're going to be working. But the idea with this is you can move your work up and down as you're working on it. So you're going to bring your thread up. And you want this in the right orientation. You're going to put a knot near the bottom of your, probably midway down your leather cord, not a tight one. So you're just going to make a slip knot. And don't do it tight because you don't want this to damage your leather. Just like that. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to loop your thread through that knot. And then you're going to cinch it tight on your board. So bring it back up and see how it cinched it up. And this is what you have left here. So let's just, this is probably stuck on your knot here. Let me show you what it looks like on the back. There. So that's what you're doing here. There. So let's just tie it in a knot here. There's ways you can tie it up at the top and stuff like that to keep it taut. And I apologize, I'm wearing my little hand sock here. My hand's a bit sore, and I find that the sock actually stops the nerve pain. Okay, so let's see if we can cinch that a little. There. Okay, so flip it over. And that's what you have. I kind of like it a little bit tighter, but what you can do to make it tighter is you can wrap it around the button a few times. Like that. There. And untwist your cord. And let's bring this up. There. So this is why I don't do, people ask me all the time about doing leather wrap bracelets. This is why I don't do them, because it is really difficult to show you because the board holds it up like that, but we'll do our best here. So now we need our thread. Get our needle, our thread. So I am gonna just cut a wingspan. If I can find the end of this. Wow. Yeah, so one wingspan should be good. And we're going to condition our thread. So you just take your wax and pull your thread through your wax. It's going to leave some waxy stuff around your beads and your leather, but that will just wear off with your body heat. And I'm going to do it a second time just to be sure it's all untangled, untwisted. You can see how it's curling up. And that's all it takes. And we're just going to thread our needle. like that. You don't need a big tail, but I like to get a bit of a tail. Okay. And we're going to start with actually we're going to need some, because these are flat, I feel like we need a couple of seed beads to open up the leather from the button in a nice little clean angle. So let's see if we can find some colored that match that. And I did have some for another project. I had some for the Ginkgo mermaid scale bracelet kits that I was making. So let's see what we have here. I don't know if those will, they're a bit sparkly, not quite what I wanted. I found them. There, those match. Okay, so we don't need many of these. We need probably 3. So just take 3 out. We're gonna start by attaching the end of our thread to the left side piece of leather, and I'm gonna add the tail there, and just gonna cinch it. It doesn't have to be super tight because we're gonna thread the end through the bead, so we want it to be able to turn on the leather. And I'm just gonna open this up so you can see this a bit better. Bring it to the middle ish. Okay, so pick up your first bead. This was a size, it says size 8 on the package. I'm pretty sure it's a size 10. So it's not quite an 11. And those are check glass beads. They often have sizes like that in between sizes. So I'm going to go ahead right now and thread this through because these bead holes are quite big, so it makes it easy to go through. Look at that. Pull that through. And bring everything. So what that's going to do is it's going to hide the knot like that. So we'll just move this around here to get it out of our way. Another little trick that I use. So now your thread that you're weaving through is going to go over top of your right hand side leather, and it's going to go underneath and through the bead and underneath the left side, just like that. So this is a bit tight. It might be just because the knot's there, so let's just grab a piece of pliers and pull that through. We may have to switch it to another needle. We'll see on the next one. Pull it all the way through. I wouldn't tighten it too tight because you'll cut the leather with this stuff. It's pretty strong. Just enough to secure it. So now we're going to grab 2 of the beads. Like that. And we're going to go over top of the left hand leather and the right hand leather, then underneath and through the beads and under, just like that. Pull through. Yeah, so these go through, sorry about that. These go through pretty easy. Like that. I would like to put 2 more of those to go. Actually, we might need 3. Now that I think of it. Yeah, let's do a third. So let's do 3 on this next one. So we're going to pick up 3 of these guys. That. Pull it all the way down. There. And the leather, see how the leather is naturally going open? So you're going to go over, under, and through. Just like that. And it will set itself up as we tighten it. And through, pull that through, pull everything through, and move that guy up a bit. There. So now we're ready for our tiles. Pull through it. I do believe this is going to be a 2-parter. So once I get going and show you how this is done, then I will continue on. So we're going to thread on our tile through one of the holes. And it's going to sit over top of our left, over top of our right. Then we're going to go under and through the same hole. Like that. Pull it all the way through. Cinch it a bit tight. So now we're going to go through the second hole. So over top, like that. And I just hang on to that bead so it doesn't move around. And cinch it a bit. We are ready. Just straighten that one out a bit. There. Under through the same hole. Come out. Like that. Okay, and we are going to add 3 tiles to every skull, I think, is how we're going to do it. So we'll go through the one hole, we're going over top of everything, and just holding my bead in the spot that I want it. We're going to go under and through the same hole, come out on the other side, pull it through. And make sure you can always move the threads up if it slides down a bit. So now we're going to go over top through the second hole. Onto that. Tighten it a bit. And under through the same hole. Pull through. Grab our next one. And pull it down. And set it where you want it. Right there. Over top. under, through the same hole, pull it through. It's that easy. Now, as you get more proficient in this, your tension gets better and your beads don't move around as much. Like I hold on to mine. A needle, go through the same hole, that. So now let's take a look at what this skull is going to look like in that spot. We may want to add some seed beads. So we could add a row of seed beads and then the skull. Actually, I think that might, maybe 2 rows of 3. Let's see how that turns out. And this is a way to extend your beads as well. So if you only have 25 tiles, you can extend it by adding some seed beads. So it's a great little trick, and it gives you really neat designs as well. So we went over top, underneath, through all 3 beads to the other side. And we're going to add 3 more. Over top. Hang on to your beads. Kind of feel where they are. Double check. Okay, it's gone through all 3. Pull it through. And check for knots. And that's why we pre-wax our thread. Yeah, there's a knot there. Just before you start yanking really hard, make sure you pull it through there. I see where the knot is. It's on the bottom of my tail, so I'll fix that. Just so it's gone all wonky, so you just want to grab the thread on this side, pull, and then pull. So this is where this piece here got all tangled, but it's worked its way out. So there we go. Now it's time for our skull. So with the skull, you have to remember your orientation. So you want your skulls all to face the same way. If you want them to face a different way, then you can switch it up. So we're going to come in through the left side of the top hole. Like that. So that's what it looks like on your needle. Bring it, your thread down, bead down, I guess. And there, it's going to look like that. So we're going to go over top of that leather and then under through the same hole and come out the other side underneath the leather. It's a bit tricky with the skull because it's 3D, so there's things that your needle gets hooked on, so just remember that. Be patient. There, like that. Okay, now hang on to your bead and go through the jaw hole like that. Gonna hang on to them and over the leather and under through the same hole, come out the other side. There. Looks good. So I'm gonna move this so I can move up my tray a bit so you can see what I'm doing. So we need 6 more seed beads. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to position them with my finger where I want them and hang onto them, and you can push it down with your thumb to get the hole exposed for you to get through it. And again, that'll take time of knowing where things are with your fingers as you get more proficient. Okay, the next row, 3 seed beads. These are one of my favorites, check glass seed beads, the copper, matte copper, 10 millimeter or 10 O's. They're beautiful. And they match so many things. There. You can cinch it up a little bit more if you want. Okay, now we're going to put a tile. Bring it all the way down. So one of the things too is you have to keep measuring your length, because for all the years that I've been doing leather wrap bracelets, I find depending on the different beads and the leather and any embellishments you're putting on, the sizes change, and rather than be frustrated at the end and realize it's either too short or too long, there's tricks I can show you on how to fix those things. But if you can get it right on the first try, it always feels better. And it's less frustrating for sure. We'll just keep going. If you have any questions, be sure to ask. I may be going a bit too quick. I know it's if you're totally new to leather wrap bracelets, I do have a few really good tutorials. I'll try and find them. They're quite old, so I'll try and find them and link them for you. But definitely try one of those first and then jump up to this easily. Once you have the threading part of it, how to weave it so that it creates an even weave around, then you've got it made. You can do anything. You can attach anything to this and it looks stunning. So one of the tricks I do is I flip the bead up so I can get the needle through, and then when I'm doing it at the bottom, I flip it down. With my thumb, I push it down, get it through, and then push it back into the right spot. So there we go. Let's move that up and tighten it. So now we have 3, and we will add some seed beads, a skull, and then I will continue and come back when we're ready to finish. So we're going to add 1, 2, 3, and set them in the spot you want them. That, pull through, move it up a bit, tighten it, 3 more. That, push it up, tighten, and now we're ready for the next skull. So we're going to go through the left hole. It'll be easier if I show it to you this way. So go through, you always work from the left to the right. So the top hole, onto your skull bead and put it through. I'm going to pull that one tight as I pull this through. And this one, because it's smaller, you can tighten it a little bit more. That's up to you. When you tighten that, it's going to bring the leather in. Now we're going to go through the hole that's at the jaw. Through. And I can see this one here looks loose. So what you can do is you can pinch as you're going down, and it will tighten on each end, and then pull. There. Just going to go through each one below and tighten till we get it all tight there. There. That should tighten the top skull hole there and pull that tight. I'm going to go under through the skull, the jaw hole, like that. We'll add our seed beads so that it's secure. 1, 2, 3. Let's bring our thread down. So the other thing that you should remember is you can see that that thread is starting to fray and unravel. So remember as you're working, one, not to pull tight on the actual needle, but to change where your thread is on the needle so that it doesn't fray too much. Okay. Just pull that through. Yeah, it didn't go through the other jaw hole, so let's take this off. So there you go. If you just watch what's happening on your needle, see if I can push this through on the left. This is awkward to see what I'm doing here around the camera. So just pull it through. You can take it off of your needle and slide it through, but I'm being lazy here. It's going to come off the needle, darn it. Oh, c'est danasa. Take my, now rethread this, and it's got to go through the skull hole. I got these skulls on eBay years ago, in case you're wondering. So it just needs to go through that hole. There. Pick up these guys. Go over top. Push them down in. Yeah, it's time for a break because this is it's very awkward with the camera. And I feel like you guys are getting a lot of my hands instead of the... So this will be something I will work on so that you get a better idea. Let's add the next 3. And just try and make sure that they lay flat and not all bunched up. But that'll come with time again. It's one of those, it's to do with tension, so let's pick up these guys. We have 3. Pull them through. Pull through. I might just continue on so I can show you how to add your thread. If you add too much thread, you're going to get lots of knots, so you definitely don't want that. And if we can move this up now. Just pull it up. There. Okay, so let's continue on for a bit. We still have a bit of thread left, so before we add anything, we'll go down a bit. Like that. And I'll do my best to show you exactly what we're doing. So let me use that hand. So you're going to go over top and through the bottom, like that. And what I do is I pull the initial thread so that it's taut and have that in place, pull that and that through like that. Try and keep everything tight. You're going to go under through the bead. That. So you're always going through each hole twice from one side to the other. So top to bottom. So through your top hole. That. Over top everything through the same hole. Top hole. To the other side. Now you're at the top. You want to go through the bottom hole. Over top everything. That. Hold it in place. Pull it through. And go through the same hole. Like that. And the next one. There. Top. So my preference for changing the thread would be in the tiles. Now, you have to be careful. The holes are small, so getting multiples through that might be difficult at times. But they're the most stable ones, so that's why I suggest that. But we will see, because we're getting close to the end of this thread. So we've had 3 seed beads through that tight, and 3 through. So yeah, we might be able to do it through the tiles. Get our skull, go through the left, like, oh, that's wrong, the left side of the skull, and through the same hole, always helps, like that. Make sure you through the same hole, pull that through, and bring it down a bit. Through the jaw hole on both sides. And through the jaw hole on both sides. There. Now I'm going to add 3 seed beads. So you can see we're getting close to the end of our thread here. So this is an important part of this bracelet, is the thread. Changing of the thread. Because you don't want your threads showing. So I'm just going to pull this down a bit more. And twist that. And we need 3 seed beads. 2, 3. Oh. Okay, so now our tile. So we're going to go through as much as we can through the tile, and then we're going to weave our new thread through those same tiles in the same manner. So we'll see how far we get with this. So we're just doing our tiles the way we normally do. So we'll probably get through the second one and that's it. So there's our second one. That. Okay. Through here. And down. So you can see I'm getting really close to the end here. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. Because this will be the last hole for this thread. Okay. Well, we're going to leave it. We're going to take it off of the needle, but we're going to leave it in that spot. Because when we're done, we will go through with some GS Hypo and put a dab of glue through that hole and maybe the hole above it and the hole below, and that will make sure that it doesn't move. Then we can clip them. So we are going to take another wingspan of our cord, that. And we're going to condition this. So you can start at the middle and pull it through. Just make sure you pull through both sides. And just hold your thumb on the thread and it will pull through the wax. And that's it. Okay. We're going to thread this on. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to go up a few beads and thread this in. So we're going to skip this one. We're going to go up through here, and I like to come out through the left side, but there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just you want to make sure you get through a few times. So went through the back. And you're going to leave a tail on this one too, like you did the other piece. It doesn't have to be very long. Just like that is fine. Okay, so now you're going to follow the same thread path of the other beads. So you're going to come up through the top of your this bead here, through the first hole, pull through that. You can see some of the wax because this is newly threaded. And as you pull it, this is going to get shorter, so be careful not to pull too much. And make sure this is secure. Okay, so now we're going to go under and through that same hole. So this is where it starts to get tight, so you might need your pliers to pull that through. There. All the way through. Make sure it doesn't get tangled. Like that. Okay, now through the bottom hole. So this way you don't see where you've threaded either because it's following the same thread path. And I know some people don't like the waxy stuff, but like I said, it's beeswax, all natural, and it comes off with your body heat. Conditions your leather, so there's no stress, no worry. Just make sure I'm not poking my leather here. And get my there. Pull this through. So it looks a bit messy right now because you've got these two tails, but you will be happy in the end. I mean, you can go through now and glue it and cut them if it bothers you. But so let's add our third tile, and that's it. That's as simple as it is to secure your thread. And that would, looking at the length of the top piece, that would probably take you to the end of your bracelet. But if you take the time to thread it properly at the beginning, you will be so happy because you'll never even know where the thread started and ended. There. And bring it through. Ta-da. There. So again, once that's cut, you won't see that. And I like to use the tiles to secure it because they're stable. The shape of them makes them stable. So there we go. That's what we have so far. So I will continue till I get to the end. So I have 2 wraps, and I'll show you how to finish it. Be right back.